when all we heard was bubble this, bubble that, Pokemon is in a bubble. On this channel, we uncovered a different story using unbiased market data, and now the prices are spiking again. I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital. Yes, it is time again for another market analysis video. I didn't expect to have to make an update so soon, but I've seen some very interesting market action lately based solely on the chart, so it has nothing to do with the recent price action or the recent price spikes that we've seen lately, but those recent price spikes do secretly end up showing up in the charts in a very big way, and I'm really excited to show you how. As a quick refresher, here's the chart that we saw last time. This was the prior support zone that I had drawn out, and I considered this again to be a fairly weak support in the blue. Once again, I sifted through a ton of transactions and going through as much data as I had available. I eliminated all the false or looked to be fake transactions, and I put it all into a custom chart for us, so I hope you can appreciate the effort that goes into this. Now, updating to the current chart today, we ended up holding this blue zone incredibly well. Just a quick side note, I did end up adjusting the blue area slightly. So I adjusted it to the body of the candlesticks this time because it appears that this area is a little bit more significant now that we've seen things played out in a little more detail. And once again, I just have to bring this up. In this chart, we really start to see the beauty of technical analysis. If you look at the closer details of this chart, you're going to see that our blue support zone ends up acting both as resistance and support multiple times in recent weeks. And I can tell you that I never get tired of seeing this stuff work. It happens all the time in other markets, but I just think it's amazing to chart something out 6 months, 12 months ago, and then you find those same support and resistances come into play months later, sometimes even years later. It never gets old to me, and I just think it's really fun to share it with you guys, and you get to see it here in Pokemon. So we have a lot to discuss. I'm going to try to crank through this as quickly as possible and try to make this as clear as possible for you. So an important thing right now is that looking at the support area, even though the wicks of the candles did actually dip below the support zone, I think multiple times, we are closing in the range and above the range. And there's a ton of information that we could talk about in these last few weeks because the signals are really just firing off in every direction. I mean, there's a lot of things that I could discuss. I wish I could talk about everything. So I'll just say that right now, the chart does look very positive in the short term, and I'll explain why. So here's the biggest piece of info that could signal the next leg forward, and it is this section here. So yes, the last few weeks of price action. I did tell you earlier, I saw some interesting stuff lately, and this is literally one of the biggest tells. It's actually from these past few weeks. What we are seeing is consolidation, and what that means is that the price range is tightening. So if we step back in time a little bit to the last market analysis video, I mentioned that in weeks 32 and 33, the price was finally starting to rebound and show support. I was hoping for a strong rebound, even though I didn't really expect it, but I was hoping for a strong rebound after the hard drop. But instead, what happened is in week 34, we see a doji candle form. And no, not Doge, a doji candle. What happens here in week 34 is that even though the price fluctuated up and down all week, the price closed pretty much right where it started. I don't know what other people would call this. I'm not really like a textbook definition kind of guy, but I just like to personally call this an indecision candle. Basically, that's pretty much what this candle shows. It's indecision in the marketplace. We have buyers on the lower part of the candle seeing value at this range, and then because they see value, it makes sense that they come in ready to buy when the price drops. Then at the top of the candle, there are people who might see that price as high, and so they are ready to sell. And what's happening is that the market participants, they're basically battling it out. But when the dust settles in week 34, it turns out to be a draw. And so the market ends up showing indecision and lack of clarity, all in just that one candle. Then if we move over to week 35, there's even more happening. Yes, even more. So what week 35 shows is a spinning top formation, which helps us confirm the indecision. Effectively, it's another indecision candle. And then on top of that, we also see consolidation beginning to take place. And that's where the range gets smaller. You can see week 35, the candle is smaller than week 34. And so this brings us to now, where we see even further consolidation taking place again. And so I know this is a lot to digest, but if you just think about this from a logical perspective, think about what's actually happening in the market right now. I'm sure you can almost feel how the market is unsure about what's going to happen next. I mean, there's just so many question marks. Will the prices hold? Is vintage just in a short-term dip and then it's gonna keep going up? Will the prices keep crashing? Will modern just keep going up in price? That indecision, that lack of clarity, this entire story of what's going on right now that we are feeling, this story is literally told here in this chart. And that, my friend, is what charting is all about. So this consolidation that we are seeing in these last few weeks is incredibly important because it could determine where we go for the next few months. As insane as this might sound to some of you, there is still plenty of potential for prices to keep moving up. But the same can also be said for the prices coming down too. If you look at this logically, the base set PSA9 Charizard hit a recent low of $1,200, and now we're rebounding closer to $1,500 to $2,000. That's a 25% to 67% rebound from the recent low. And what's really important about this rebound is that during the same period that this rebound is occurring, we are seeing yet another leg up on a lot of other modern cards. By the way, thank you to some of the commenters in my last video. Several of you guys pointed out different items that were all going up in price. And this led me to look a little bit deeper, and I actually found price spikes happening all over the hobby. Again, maybe by the time this comes out, it'll be old news, but there's just price spikes happening all over. Of course, there's big news like the special delivery Pikachu, which has skyrocketed again. Evolution is broken out again. I think the booster boxes are at like $900 or $800 the last time I checked. It's scorching hot. Modern era booster boxes are all going up too. And of course, there's the full art waifus. And what's exciting is that we'll see that all this price action is happening in the same time frame. Once again, this speaks to the validity of my claim that this chart is a solid indicator of the Pokemon card market. It's not perfect, but it works. We literally had the beginning stages of a rebound in weeks 31 and 32 for the base set Charizard. And in the same week that that rebound is happening, Evolution's booster boxes, they were still $400 to $500. The special delivery Pikachu was still under $100. Modern booster boxes, they were all cheaper too. Literally, what happens is the Charizard rebounds first, and then the rest of the markets starts going up the very next week. So whereas a lot of people would look at this chart, see the prices are down, but if you actually look at the numbers and analyze the data, it's matching up almost perfectly. It's actually insane. Charizard goes up one week, the market starts moving the next week. The Pokemon card market is showing a near perfect domino effect that syncs up with this chart. Now, just to be clear again, like in my last video, this is not perfect. This chart method is not perfect, and it will not work forever because it does require certain market conditions for it to work. It's why I was the first one to point out the significance of this chart, and it's why I saw more upward movement was actually possible when pretty much no one else did. And even though I have made a lot of correct calls when it comes to the technicals, I will be wrong eventually. I am human just like you guys, and even though this is mostly data and facts, people get really emotional about it. I mean, a few people literally left, they cussed me out in the comments when I said months ago the market could keep going up, or people would say the charts needs a larger time frame when it literally has no relevance and it wouldn't change the analysis at all. And so I just like to remind you now, because it will happen. I could be right 10 times in a row, just throwing out a number. And then once you let your guard down, that's when it hits. That's when something's gonna go wrong. And the universe is just really funny like that. It's a little bit of a comedian. But at least if you've watched this channel for a while, you know my track record with this stuff. This isn't me just randomly saying something for months over and over and over again until I'm eventually right. And then because I could just say prices will go down for months, I'll just say it over and over again until it eventually does happen. And then I could just say, see, I told you I was right. Anyone can do that. This is a technical breakdown based on data, not emotion. And that's why what I reveal here tends to actually happen and happen within a reasonable time frame. But overall, I see a ton of positive signals in the charts and really all across the hobby. Now, this doesn't mean that the prices will keep going up, and the market cannot go up forever. We can still fall below the support area, and even if the support zone does end up holding, there's still plenty of other things to watch out for moving forward. Generally speaking though, the signs are positive, but just remember that the market can change in an instant. I mean, literally just a month ago, everyone was scared and talking about bubbles and how the prices crash, and now we're all excited again because prices are skyrocketing up again. And so the market can just change in an instant. Because we are at the all-time highs, I have been very selective on what I've been buying the past couple of months. And I cannot stress this enough. The market cannot go up forever. For now, the signs are looking very positive in the short term, but the market is price sensitive right now. That sensitivity means that the smallest thing could send us soaring to new highs like we've recently seen, or it could send us falling back to previous resistances. The break of consolidation could determine where we are headed in the next few months. As you can see, this chart is still working well, and in this particular video, in this particular instance, I would say that it worked almost perfectly. I hope you found this video insightful. A like and subscribe would be awesome because it's free and it helps support the channel. I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.